First contact. The skies above Earth erupted in a spectacular display of crimson and gold as the Meridian Empire's warships emerged from hyperspace. Their vessels, resembling massive geometric crystals carved from living metal, cast ethereal shadows across the planet's surface. Admiral Elena Rodriguez stood at the United Earth Defense Command's main viewport, her weathered face illuminated by the otherworldly light of the alien armada. "They're not even trying to hide their military capability," she muttered, studying the formation of the fleet through augmented reality displays. The ships arranged themselves in perfect mathematical patterns, a display of precision that seemed almost theatrical in its execution. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, in the Mariana Trench Research Station, Dr. James Chen's quantum sensors were going haywire. The readings defied everything he understood about physics. The alien ships weren't just technological marvels. They were impossible. Their energy signatures suggested they operated on principles that should have torn them apart at the quantum level. Dr. Chen, his AI assistant's hologram, flickered to life. "I've detected a pattern in the anomalies. The ships are generating what appears to be a unified consciousness field." James leaned forward, his eyes widening as he processed the implications. "They're not individual ships," he whispered. "They're extensions of a single mind." Above the planet, the largest of the crystal ships opened like a blooming flower, revealing High Commander Vexthor of the Meridian Empire. His holographic projection appeared simultaneously in every major city on Earth, a towering figure of light and energy that spoke with a voice that seemed to bypass ears and resonate directly in the mind. "People of Earth," the alien leader's words translated seamlessly into every human language. "We come as harbingers of evolution. Your world has been chosen to join the Meridian Consensus, a gift few species are worthy to receive." In Washington, D.C., Dr. Sarah Harper, head of Sinolinguistics at the Global First Contact Initiative, noticed something others missed. The aliens' perfect translation wasn't just advanced technology. It was revealing their fundamental weakness. Every word, every concept, was being processed through a rigid hierarchical system that left no room for ambiguity or interpretation. While world leaders scrambled to respond to the alien arrival, Sarah contacted Admiral Rodriguez through a secure quantum channel. "The Meridians aren't just structured," she explained. "They're pathologically ordered. Their entire civilization is built on the complete elimination of chaos and uncertainty." Rodriguez studied the linguistic analysis streaming across her screen. "And how does that help us?" "Because," Sarah's eyes gleamed with realization, "they've engineered themselves into an evolutionary dead end. They've eliminated their ability to adapt." As the first week of alien contact unfolded, the Meridians established harmonization centers in major cities, beautiful crystal structures that pulsed with mesmerizing light. They offered technological gifts that seemed miraculous: clean energy, advanced medical treatments, instant transportation networks. But James Chen's quantum readings told a different story. The harmonization centers were nodes in a vast network, slowly establishing a resonance field that would align Earth's quantum substrate with the Meridian Consensus. It wasn't an invasion of ships and soldiers. It was an invasion of reality itself. In her private office, Admiral Rodriguez gathered a small group: James Chen, Sarah Harper, and Major David Okonjo, an unconventional warfare specialist. "We're looking at an enemy that has achieved near perfection," she began, "but perfection has a price. They've sacrificed something fundamental to achieve it." Major Okonjo nodded, his cybernetic eye whirring as it analyzed tactical data. "They've lost the chaos factor. The ability to innovate, to think outside their perfect systems." "Exactly," Sarah agreed. "Their language, their technology, their very consciousness. It's all built on absolute order. They literally cannot comprehend true randomness or creative thinking." James pulled up his quantum readings, showing the spreading resonance field. "They're trying to impose their order on our reality, but they don't understand that Earth's biosphere is built on controlled chaos. Our very evolution depends on random mutations and adaptability. Admiral Rodriguez stood, looking out at the crystalline ships glittering in Earth's orbit. "Then we don't fight them with bigger guns or better shields," she said. "We fight them with humanity's greatest weapon, our beautiful, chaotic, unpredictable nature." As the meeting concluded, none of them noticed the small quantum fluctuations in the corner of the room, where reality itself seemed to ripple with anticipation. The battle for Earth wouldn't be won with traditional warfare. It would be won by embracing everything the Meridians had sacrificed in their quest for perfection. The hidden strength. The Meridian Harmonization Centers have been operating for 3 weeks when the first cracks in their perfect system began to appear. It started with something so small that even the aliens' sophisticated monitoring systems missed it: laughter. Dr. Sarah Harper was observing a group of children playing near the Sydney Harmonization Center when she noticed it. While adults walked in increasingly ordered patterns around the crystal structure, the children remained chaotic, unpredictable. Their games evolved spontaneously, rules changing mid-play, their joy creating tiny ripples in the quantum resonance field. In her secured lab beneath the Australian outback, she compiled her observations. "The children are naturally resistant," she explained to Admiral Rodriguez, "via quantum-encrypted communication. Their minds haven't fully formed rigid patterns yet. They're pure creative potential." "Can we weaponize this?" Rodriguez asked, her hologram flickering with interference from the strengthening meridian field. "Not directly," Sarah replied, "but it gives us a blueprint. The Meridians can't predict or control what they can't understand, and they fundamentally cannot understand human creativity." Meanwhile, in the Mariana Trench facility, Dr. James Chen made a breakthrough. He'd been studying the quantum resonance patterns of human artists at work, painters, musicians, dancers, and discovered something extraordinary. Their brainwaves generated patterns that actively disrupted the meridian harmony field. "It's like throwing sand into perfectly aligned gears," he explained to Major Okonjo, who had arrived with a team of special operators. "Every creative act creates microscopic chaos in their system. Alone, it's insignificant. But if we could amplify it..." Okonjo's cybernetic eye glowed as he processed the implications. "We don't need weapons," he said slowly. "We need artists." Above them, High Commander Vexthor was growing concerned. The harmonization of Earth was proceeding more slowly than calculated. Impossible variables kept emerging, disrupting the perfect patterns of the consensus. In his crystalline command center, he reviewed the data for the 1,000th time. "The humans resist categorization," he reported to the Meridian Overmind. "Their responses contain elements our predictive matrices cannot process. They are inefficient." The Overmind's response came as a pulse of pure mathematical certainty. Inefficiency must be eliminated. Accelerate the harmonization process. But acceleration proved dangerous. When the Meridians increased the power to their harmonization centers, humanity's resistance grew stronger. Street artists began painting murals on the crystal walls. Impossibly, the paint stuck to the supposedly impenetrable surface. Musicians held impromptu concerts nearby, their rhythms somehow interfering with the center's quantum frequencies. Dr. Chen tracked the spread of chaos from his underwater lab. Every creative act, every spontaneous decision, every burst of emotion, they all create quantum ripples, he explained to the growing resistance movement. The Meridians built their entire civilization on the elimination of uncertainty. But humanity, we thrive on it. In orbit, the crystal ships began to show signs of stress. Microscopic fractures appeared in their perfect geometries, spreading like frozen lightning across their surfaces. The unified consciousness field flickered with static. Admiral Rodriguez seized the opportunity. Working with Sarah Harper and a network of artists, musicians, and creative minds worldwide, she initiated Operation Chaos Theory. The plan was beautiful in its simplicity. They would fight the invasion with pure, unfiltered human creativity. Street festivals erupted in cities worldwide. Children's choirs sang in parks. Dancers performed near harmonization centers. Each creative act sent tiny shockwaves through the meridian field. Artists painted massive murals depicting scenes of human chaos and triumph. Musicians played concerts that somehow resonated with the quantum frequency of human consciousness. The meridian's response was predictably rigid. They attempted to analyze and categorize each form of resistance, trying to develop countermeasures. But by the time they understood one form of creative expression, humans had already moved on to something new. In his command center, Vexthor watched in growing alarm as the perfect order of the meridian consensus began to unravel. Human chaos was not just resisting harmonization. It was actively infecting the meridian network. The crystal ships began to display colors outside their designated spectrum. Some started generating unauthorized harmonies, creating what humans called music. Impossible, Vexthor whispered as he watched his fleet's perfect formation begin to shift and flow in patterns that almost looked beautiful. Sarah Harper, watching from her lab, smiled as she recorded the changes. "That's the thing about chaos," she said to no one in particular. "Once you let it in, it has a way of revealing the beauty that perfect order never could." The battle for Earth was far from over, but humanity had found its weapon. Not in advanced technology or military might, but in the very thing the Meridians had sacrificed: the power of unpredictability, creativity, and the beautiful chaos of the human spirit. The turning point. The first Meridian ship fell on a Tuesday, not from weapons fire or military action, but from a symphony. Dr. James Chen had discovered that certain combinations of music, particularly improvised jazz, created quantum resonance patterns that directly opposed the meridian consciousness field. The Sydney Symphony Orchestra, performing an experimental piece that incorporated real-time improvisation, caused one of the smaller crystal ships to shudder, its perfect geometry distorting until it resembled an abstract sculpture more than a warship. "It's beautiful," Sarah Harper whispered, watching through quantum-enhanced binoculars as the crystalline structure caught the sunrise, refracting light in ways its builders had never intended. The ship's crew, connected to the meridian consensus, experienced something they had never known before: individual thought. High Commander Vexthor felt it like a physical blow. The sudden surge of chaos in the network sent shock waves through the entire fleet. In his command center, he watched in horror as the affected crew members began to express unauthorized ideas and emotions. "Quarantine the infected vessel," he commanded, but the order came too late. The quantum resonance of human creativity had already begun to spread through the fleet's unified consciousness field. Admiral Rodriguez, monitoring from the underwater command center, recognized the opportunity. "It's time for Phase 2, she announced to her global network of resistance leaders. "Operation Butterfly Effect is go." Around the world, humanity launched its most powerful weapon: pure, concentrated creativity. Street artists in Tokyo created massive murals that seemed to move when viewed through the Meridian's quantum sensors. A flash mob in Rio de Janeiro performed a dance that generated interference patterns in the harmonization field. In Kenya, a choir sang harmonies that made the crystal structures vibrate at their resonant frequency. But the true breakthrough came from an unexpected source. 15-year-old Maya Patel, a student in Mumbai, had been experimenting with quantum harmonics in her school's music room. Using a combination of traditional Indian ragas and electronic music, she discovered a way to not just disrupt the meridian field, but to communicate through it. "The music speaks to them," she explained to an astonished Dr. Chen via quantum link. "Not in words, but in emotions, in possibilities, in all the beautiful uncertainty they engineered out of their civilization." The Meridian Overmind registered the change as a catastrophic system failure. Throughout the fleet, crystal ships began to pulse with unauthorized colors. Crew members reported experiencing something they called dreams, chaotic neural patterns that had been eliminated from their species millennia ago. Vexthor watched in mounting panic as the perfect order of his fleet began to dissolve. Ships moved out of formation, their crews drawn to the chaotic beauty of Earth's art and music, The harmonization centers, designed to impose meridian order on human consciousness, were instead becoming conduits for human creativity to infect the meridian network. "This is impossible," he transmitted to the overmind. "Their chaos, it resonates with something we lost, something we buried beneath layers of perfect order." Dr. Sarah Harper, analyzing the quantum data, realized what was happening. They didn't just build their civilization on order, she explained to Admiral Rodriguez. They built it on the suppression of their own creative potential. Every species has it. It's fundamental to consciousness itself. They just buried it so deep, they forgot it existed. Major Okonjo's Special Forces teams, now equipped with quantum resonance amplifiers tuned to artistic frequencies, began operations near key meridian installations. They didn't attack. They performed. Each team included artists, musicians, and dancers, their creative energy focused and amplified by technology that mixed human ingenuity with scientific precision. The effect was devastating to the Meridian's ordered systems. Crystal ships began to transform, their rigid geometries flowing into organic shapes that reflected the chaos and beauty of human artistic expression. The harmonization centers, meant to be beacons of perfect order, became galleries of spontaneous creativity. In orbit, Vex Thor made a decision that would change both civilizations forever. Instead of fighting the chaos, he opened himself to it. The moment he did, the command ship's crystalline structure began to shift, its perfect angles dissolving into curves and spirals that caught the sunlight in ways that made Earth's artists weep with joy. "I remember," he transmitted to all channels, his consciousness expanding beyond the confines of perfect order for the first time in countless generations. "We were not always like this. Before the great harmonization, we too knew the beauty of uncertainty. The battle for Earth had become something else entirely, not a conquest, but an awakening." As human creativity continued to ripple through the Meridian fleet, both species stood on the brink of a transformation that would redefine their understanding of consciousness itself. And in her lab beneath the Australian outback, Sarah Harper began to understand that this was more than just a victory for Earth. It was the beginning of something much bigger, a renaissance that would spread across the galaxy, reawakening the creative potential that so many advanced civilizations had sacrificed in their quest for perfect order. Evolution of consciousness. The transformation of the Meridian fleet became a spectacle that would be remembered for generations. Crystal ships, once perfect geometric forms, now danced in Earth's orbit like abstract sculptures, each one unique, each one a testament to the reawakening of long-suppressed creativity. In his transformed command ship, High Commander Vex Thor experienced emotions he had no words for. The vessel, responding to his expanding consciousness, had become a floating garden of crystalline shapes that grew and evolved in real time. Through the quantum network, he felt the same awakening rippling through his entire species. "The consensus is changing," he transmitted to Admiral Rodriguez. His words came not as the perfect, ordered communications of before, but as poetry, music, and shifting colors. "We remember what we were before, what we could have been." Deep in the Mariana Trench facility, Dr. James Chen monitored the quantum readings with amazement. The Meridian consciousness field hadn't collapsed. It had evolved. Instead of imposing rigid order, it now pulsed with creative energy, a network of individual minds sharing inspiration and imagination across the vastness of space. "They're not just accepting chaos," he explained to his colleagues. "They're rediscovering their own capacity for it. Every suppressed creative impulse, every buried dream, every forgotten possibility. It's all awakening at once." The harmonization centers, those crystal structures meant to impose meridian order on humanity, had become something entirely new. In cities across Earth, they transformed into living art installations, their surfaces reflecting and amplifying the creative energy of both species. Children played in fields of light that responded to their imagination. Artists found their work taking on dimensions they had never dreamed possible. Sarah Harper worked tirelessly to document the changes. "It's not just affecting them," she reported. Human creativity is evolving too. The quantum resonance between our species is opening new pathways in human consciousness. We're learning to think in ways we never could before. She was right. Around the world, humans began experiencing new forms of consciousness. Artists found they could shape quantum fields with their thoughts. Musicians discovered harmonies that existed between atoms. Dancers moved in ways that bent local space-time. The boundary between art and science, between creativity and technology, began to blur. Major Okonjo's Special Forces teams, now working openly with Meridian crew members, explored the possibilities of this new collaboration. Together, they discovered that the combination of human creative chaos and Meridian quantum technology could reshape reality itself. The first joint human-Meridian art installation accidentally created a small aurora borealis over Tokyo. "We were wrong," Vexthor admitted in a global broadcast. His form now shifted constantly, a visual representation of his evolving thoughts. "We thought perfect order was the pinnacle of evolution. We forgot that the universe itself was born from chaos, that creativity is the force that drives all growth, all change, all life." The Meridian Overmind, that vast network of perfectly ordered consciousness, underwent its own metamorphosis. Instead of enforcing conformity, it became a medium for infinite creative possibility. Meridian ships that had arrived as weapons of conquest became floating galleries, laboratories, and performance spaces where both species could explore their expanding potential. But it wasn't all easy. Some Meridians, too deeply invested in the old order, couldn't handle the awakening. Some human communities, fearful of the rapid changes, resisted the new connection with their former invaders. The transformation brought challenges that neither species had anticipated. Admiral Rodriguez, working closely with Vexthor, established the first interspecies creative council. Their mission was not just to manage the transformation, but to explore its implications for both civilizations. "We're not just changing our present," she explained to world leaders. "We're evolving the future of both our species." In the Australian outback, a young Aboriginal artist collaborated with a Meridian quantum engineer to create something unprecedented, a dreamtime space where consciousness could explore infinite possibilities. The installation attracted visitors from both species, each finding in it reflections of their own journey from order to creative chaos. Dr. Chen, analyzing the quantum data from these collaborations, began to understand the fuller implications. "This isn't just about art or creativity," he explained. "We're watching the birth of a new form of consciousness. The Meridian's perfect order and humanity's creative chaos are merging into something entirely new, a way of being that neither species could have achieved alone." As Earth's orbit filled with transformed crystal ships that now resembled moving constellations of light and possibility, both humans and Meridians faced a truth that would reshape their understanding of existence. True evolution wasn't about achieving perfect order or embracing pure chaos. It was about finding the balance between them, about recognizing that consciousness itself was an endless dance between structure and creativity. A new dawn. 1 year after the Meridian fleet's arrival, Earth's sky had become an ever-changing canvas of light and possibility. The transformed crystal ships no longer hung in rigid formation, but danced in complex patterns that reflected the new consciousness emerging between both species. In what was once the Meridian command ship, now a sprawling crystal structure that resembled a blooming flower frozen in time, High Commander Vexthor met with Admiral Rodriguez for what would be a historic moment. The chamber around them shifted and flowed with their thoughts, a direct manifestation of the new quantum technology that merged Meridian precision with human creativity. "We came to impose order," Vexthor said, his form rippling with colors that expressed emotions his species had only recently rediscovered. "Instead, you taught us what we had sacrificed to achieve that order. The price we paid was too high." Admiral Rodriguez watched a nearby crystal surface reflect her memories of the past year. The initial fear, the resistance, the moment of transformation. And you showed us that our chaos could be channeled, that creativity doesn't have to mean complete disorder. Dr. James Chen, working from his newly expanded quantum laboratory, now a joint human meridian research facility, had mapped the changes in both species' consciousness patterns. The rigid, mathematical precision of meridian thought had softened, allowing for inspiration and intuition. Human consciousness, in turn, had gained new structures, new ways of organizing and directing their creative chaos. It's a new form of evolution, he explained to Dr. Sarah Harper as they reviewed the data. Not biological, not technological, but consciousness itself evolving. We're watching two species transform into something greater than either could have become alone. The harmonization centers, those crystal structures that had been meant to subjugate humanity, had become nexus points for this transformation. In cities across Earth, they pulsed with combined human meridian creativity. Children learned to shape quantum fields with their imagination, while meridian scientists rediscovered the joy of unpredictable discovery. Maya Patel, the young musician whose harmonics had helped bridge the gap between species, had established the first interspecies creative academy in Mumbai. There, human artists and meridian quantum engineers worked together to explore the boundaries of possibility. Their experiments gave birth to new art forms that existed in multiple dimensions, music that could be seen and touched, sculptures that sang with the voice of consciousness itself. Major Okonjo, his cybernetic systems now integrated with meridian quantum technology, led expeditions to explore these new frontiers. We're not just changing ourselves, he observed as his team documented another breakthrough in human meridian collaboration. We're changing the very nature of what's possible. The meridian overmind, once a force for absolute order, had evolved into something new, a vast network that preserved the best of both species' attributes. It maintained enough structure to prevent chaos from becoming destruction, while allowing enough freedom for creativity to flourish. Through it, humans and meridians shared thoughts, dreams, and possibilities in ways that transcended traditional communication. In orbit, the transformed fleet had become a symbol of this new era. Each ship was unique, its crystalline structure reflecting the individual consciousness of its crew, both human and meridian. They were no longer weapons of war or tools of conquest, but living artwork that served as bridges between worlds. As the first anniversary of contact approached, Earth prepared for a celebration unlike any in human history. The event would be marked by a synchronized creative explosion, a moment when every human artist and meridian engineer would combine their talents to create something unprecedented. We stand at a crossroads, Vexthor announced to the combined assembly of human and meridian leaders. The path we chose was not the one we intended, but it has led us to a greater destiny than we could have imagined. Admiral Rodriguez, looking out at the assembled faces, some human, some crystalline, some a merger of both, felt the weight of the moment. A year ago, we thought we were fighting for our survival. Instead, we were fighting for our evolution. The celebration began at sunset. Around the world, the transformed harmonization centers pulsed with energy. Human artists and meridian engineers worked in perfect synchronization. The sky above Earth became a canvas for their combined creativity. Aurora-like displays that told the story of two species learning to become something more. In that moment, as art and science, chaos and order, human and meridian, merged into something new, both species understood a fundamental truth. The universe wasn't meant to be conquered or controlled. It was meant to be explored, experienced, and transformed by consciousness brave enough to embrace both structure and chaos, precision and creativity, certainty and wonder. The invasion that had meant to end human creativity had instead sparked a renaissance that would spread across the galaxy. The story of Earth and the meridians became a legend told on countless worlds, a reminder that true strength lies not in imposing order or embracing chaos, but in finding the courage to dance between both in the endless rhythm of cosmic evolution.